This is an installation of a Loup Electronics Loadlog 8000i on a Volvo L250H at Golden Equipment in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Start by looking at the hydraulics. You can access the valve area by removing a cover plate, and we installed this hose provided by Loup Electronics to a 14mm by 1/4" BSP fitting, also provided by Loup Electronics, that went into a port right here. On the opposite side, back there, there's a test port fitting, and we removed that and put another hose, and that gave us both of our hydraulic ports to tap into. Also in here on the left hand side, much harder to see, we use the urethane clamp block provided by Loup Electronics. There is an existing nut on a stud in there that we bolted this to, and then that secured the other end of our hoses for our 2 pressure sensors. Our quick disconnects are bunched up here. There's a lot of excess wire. That's because this is a rental loader, and we took care to make sure that we didn't trim any wires short so that this can be reused at a later date on another loader. If you walk around to this side, there was a little bit of fabrication that we had to do to the reference and direction sensor bracket. The bracket itself was provided by Loup Electronics, but as you can see, and again, because this is a rental and we didn't want to weld on anything or drill any holes or put any new screws in anything, I used a clamp bracket to clamp to the arm that Loup Electronics provides. And this reference and direction sensor, we trimmed this section off of the angle bracket, and that allowed us to go into this big fitting here that holds the pin in, this bolt. So we drilled out a big hole there, and that gave us a lot of adjustment. So if you're doing this loader, Volvo L250H, I'd recommend setting up your bracket and trimming it ahead of time, especially if you're in the field and you don't have the tools to do it. You can see that the wire follows a grease line, comes down to a quick disconnect, joins your pressure sensor wiring, and it goes through the articulation up through the center of the loader. Walk around the other side and I'll show you how we got the power and ran the rest of our wires. We removed this access panel right here, and then we also removed the access panel back here, and doing so provided us a grommet that we went into, gave us access into the fuse panel. In this fuse panel, we went into the number 12 with a piggyback fuse adapter for a larger fuse fitting, and then ran that wire to the junction box, which is also inside this door panel. All of our wires that came in through the backside are terminated in that junction box. Our power wire and then our remote enter switch and our head unit cable are run behind this trim all the way across the bottom. They come up under the mat here and then go up to the scale head. There's a printer on this one. The printer wire simply goes into the back of the head unit, and then we just brought our own L bracket. I recommend bringing an L bracket just like this because this bolt's already here. I use VHB tape, industrial strength, to tie it to to fasten it to the base of this angle bracket. Drilled a small hole in this, was able to mount it here on the ROPS without having to put any new marks on the ROPS. Pulled this trim piece off, pulled this mirror electric switch off, and then used the provided bracket from Loup Electronics. This is an L bracket. Drilled 2 new holes for the base of this mounting bracket for the head unit. Modified the holes in the back because there's some bolts that go into the ROPS. Carried those bolts with this bracket. Still was able to leave this here. And then this provided mounting without having to drill or tap into anything. Remote enter switch. Just use this existing screw here to go into the hole in the side of this bracket. And then again, the loader, the scale itself is tied to keep power. You can kind of see another angle of the reference and direction sensor and the magnet. That's just a clamp bracket that Loup provided. So again, this is the installation of a Loadlog 8000i on a Volvo L250H.